Hi, welcome to Maggie Chats Books. Today I'm going to do my mid-month wrap-up. This month, so far, I've read 5 books, and the first book is Warcross by Marie Lu. This is a YA novel. I began it in, I think, the 31st of December, but I finished it in January. It is a story that is science fiction. It involves a video game called Warcross that is very, very popular. Our protagonist is Emika. She's a 19-year-old girl who's fallen on bad times. She's living in almost poverty in New York. She works as a part-time bounty hunter and also a waitress. She has a great mind for computers and gaming and is able to hack into the Warcross game, and she's discovered. The creator of Warcross invites her to come to Japan, and instead of punishing her for going into his game, he hires her to solve a mystery. So there is, he's like 22 years old. So that part is really interesting. It was great to see her go from one lifestyle to another lifestyle. The game is created so wonderfully. Marie Lu is a former game designer. I believe she lives in California and now writes books. So the game was believable if we had that type of technology. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I wanted something light, and it really filled the bill. It is the first in a trilogy, so you get a kind of non-ending ending, although there is a great twist that I truly enjoyed at the end and think it's very worthwhile a read, and we'll look forward to the other books. And the next book I read was The Night Watch by Sarah Waters. Sarah Waters had been recommended by so many booktubers, and so I wanted to give her a try. The Night Watch is a book that takes place starts in 1947 after World War II in London. You follow 4 characters, 3 women and 1 young man. The focus is on their lives, how they're dealing with things after the war and where they are in their lives after the war. And then the book goes back to 1944, and you see how they are toward the end of the war and how London is toward the end of the war, and then you go back to 1941. The lives, you get glimpses into each of the 4 characters' lives, but you get such great characters out of this, and I don't really know how she did it, but she really made these characters come alive for me. And there's especially one character named Kay who I really wanted to know more about, and she really made you love this character and want the best for her. But I don't know a lot about her other than what she gave us, so I loved how she did that. Sarah Waters also has a great way of describing the area, and there's one part where 2 women are walking down the street, and of course it's totally dark because it's during the Blitz, and they are in love, and they are walking down the street trying to get to another destination. All the time you can hear bombs dropping, and there's wreckage, and there are ruins from previous bombs. And that scene she set so real, you believe you're walking down the street with them. I think she was a wonderful, wonderful writer. I really, really enjoyed this book. I don't want to say too much about it, but it deals with a lot of issues that concerned women, which I liked, and also how some things were handled during that time, probably all over the world, like suicide and being a homosexual, being a lesbian, that kind of thing. This is such a great book. It makes me want to read more by Sarah Waters. And so if you have any suggestions of Sarah Waters books that you think I should read, please leave them in the comments below, because I'd really like to try out other books from her. And the next book I read was Strange the Dreamer by Lani Taylor, and this is another YA book. It's a fantasy. It's the first in the series as well. I had heard so many people talk about this book. I wanted to read it as well. It did not disappoint. I think Lani Taylor builds her world so well. She builds it in phases, so you're not bombarded with it all at once and trying to make sense of it, so you lose the story. She builds it as she's building the story, and I really enjoyed that. And I think for my mind, it's easy for me to grasp the world in that way than have it all come at once. The character, you follow a young man who was raised in a monastery, very strict conditions. He becomes like a librarian, and he is self-taught, almost like a scholar. There's a fantasy kind of world that everybody has talked about previously, and he writes it up and tries to keep track of it. and then he's invited to go to another place eventually. And his life changes completely. There are gods in this book, there are runes in this book, there are fantastic people. It was really, really wonderful. There is a romance in this book, but it's done so well that it's not sickly kind of sometimes YA romances can get into. But I thought it was really, really good. Can't wait for the next books to come out. I think the second one's already out, so I'll have to check that one. But I really enjoy this one. I think everybody was on target on their reviews of this book, that it's really enjoyable. Not so much YA, I think anybody would like it. You don't have to really be young to enjoy this one, because I'm not. But it was a great book. I do recommend it. Then after that I read Fredrik Backman's The Deal of a Lifetime. This is a short story that I believe he published in a magazine or a newspaper. It is only 65 pages long. It deals with death and regrets in life. I thought it was done well. I mean, it's 65 pages, you read it really fast. But I didn't love this book. I thought it was good. It wasn't great. I felt like it was kind of cliche for Christmas. You know, you look at, you're not on earth that long, you should do good for your fellow man. I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me. I hadn't heard anything about this book. I'm not upset that I read it. I think it was worth my time, but it just wasn't great. And I know he's written so many great books, but this one just didn't do it for me. I'd like to hear if anybody else has read this one and loved it or thought more of it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but it was just okay for me. And the last book I read was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Another awesome book. This book is the Iliad redone, and Madeline Miller, I believe this is her first book. She does a wonderful, wonderful job. I think I read this in 2 sittings. It was so engrossing. Such a great story, beautifully written. Even the battle scenes were not overdone, and as some can be, you know, because battle scenes are bloody no matter what and horrible. But I think what she did in here was very well done. I keep saying well done because it was well done. But I think anybody would enjoy this one. I don't read a lot of books about mythology or the gods or anything, but I thought this one was so well done. If she writes another book, which I think she does have one coming out this year, I will read more of her stuff. Couldn't recommend this enough. Thought it was wonderful. And it's The Song of Achilles. So those are the books I've read so far this month. I am now reading A Golden Age, which is our Read Around the World book club book for the month of January. I am probably only 30 pages into that book, so I really can't say too much about it. So far it's interesting. And then other book that I'm starting is The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. This is a mystery book. I don't read a lot of mysteries, but heard a lot of great things about this book and thought I would read it. And the library wants it back in 5 days, so I need to get it read soon. So that's what I'm reading now. That's what I read before. Let me know what you're reading. If you read any of these books, please let me know what you thought about them. If you have any suggestions of Sarah Waters books, I'd love to hear them. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you later. Goodbye.